You really had backlash for speaking out against the medical monopoly. What do you think is most broken about the system?
Oh my gosh.
I know. This is why you have me here, to ask you questions that make you think.
I had to really look myself in the mirror and say, are you ready to die for this? A direct threat is like opening up the mail, snail mail, and you open it and it says, you're a quack and I'm gonna kill you. And then an indirect threat is somebody on social media who says something like, I can't wait till someone puts a bullet to this guy's head.
Yeah.
This guy is an idiot, you know?
It's Lucia back with Dr. Kevin Reese. It's been about a year. I'd love to hear what you've been up to, because so much has happened for you over this last year. Give me the highlights.
Well, I wrote 5 books.
I know. When do you sleep? We were just talking about sleep before we...
I sleep good. It's just time management, really. And, you know, just dealing with fame to a certain degree, you know, being a social media influencer, as they call it, and, you know, starting to get recognized in public and things of that nature. So that's really what the last year has been, just going to another level type thing, I guess.
To really, and the point of it all, right, I know your mind around this is to get the word out about everything you're talking about, right?
Head to toe healing. Yeah, that's the practice that I'm bringing to the world and trying to teach. And we started a membership to help people with that. And yeah, that's where we're at. So
one of the main reasons we're here today talking is because I know you have 5 books, right? 5 new books?
In the last year, yeah.
In the last year.
Actually, in the last 4 months.
In the last 4 months? That's when they've all come out?
Yeah.
Tell us what the 5 books are for those that have missed it.
Medical Monopoly is that was the big project, the Red Book. And then what happened was I just felt the momentum.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to stop.
Yeah, of course.
So then I wrote Sleep Solution, which is the blue book, Anxiety Answer, which is the yellow book, Cheat Code, which is the purple book, and then there's another one called Take My Hand, which is just a collection of videos. And so we transcribed them. And then now we're working on the green book, which is Head to Toe Healing, which will have all the testimonies.
The names are self-explanatory, except tell me about Cheat Code, because that could mean a lot of different things.
Yeah, Cheat Code is...
I hope we're not talking about love, Kevin.
Cheat Code is how to hack the computer in your skull to find inner peace. So it's a book on mindfulness training and how to, you know, cleanse yourself of guilt and anger and fear and all that good stuff.
Amazing. Yeah. Do you have a favorite of all these books that have come out? I know we're about to talk about Medical Monopoly.
Well, I'm very proud of the purple book because it is my specialty. The brain and mindfulness, and that's really my specialty. And I think a lot of people are going to get a lot of help from this purple book. But the red book is my masterpiece, so to speak. I mean, I think that of the 10 books that I offer the public, the red book will be the one that's remembered. It won't be the other ones. It'll be that one right there.
What about it feels special? I agree with you, by the way. Having read it and just the topic in general, this book is fire. And I can't wait to dive into it here more. But what about it feels really special to you?
It's like an expose of a empire, an evil empire that's hurt a lot of people. And I wrote it in a way that's so short and sharp. Like that book could easily be 1,000,000 pages long, but it's not. It's 200 pages. And it's just giving you the information. There's no fluff. There's no jokes. There's no big stories. It's just, here's the information. Let's blow your socks off, and at the end, what you need to do is head to toe healing in order to turn it around. And so the idea is for that book to be something that gets passed around, like a pamphlet. So a lot of my people in my membership, they probably know 70% of it from the beginning. But the goal is for them to give it to their loved ones. It's not for them. It's not for someone that's already awakened to the medical system being very, very corrupt.
I mean, I agree with you, right? Because probably the people listening, and maybe not the people listening to my show to the extent of your show, but they probably know that the medical monopoly is just that, right? Like the name of this book, if you don't know, is Medical Monopoly, the Evil Empire You've Been Tricked to Trust, right? I think we know that our healthcare system's broken, but let me share my experience. I don't think we know how broken it is until you're in it, right? So the way that you talk about these different sections, can we go over some of them for people that don't know?
Absolutely.
What do you think is most broken about the system?
Oh my gosh.
I know. This is why you have me here, to ask you questions that make you think.
Primary care physician.
Say more about that. I know that's in your book.
The primary care physician it's a joke. It's a joke. They set it up so that you have this one authoritative person that dictates your whole health. Like you can't go to a specialist unless you go through your primary. You can't, you might not be able to get a certain medicine unless you go through your primary. If you need a note for school or class or something, or your job, you got to go through your primary. And so the primary care physician is essentially a police officer, and if you're not awakened to this, then you're just going to get tricked. And, they prescribe the basic drugs, which are statins, proton pump inhibitors, blood pressure meds. Those are the three big ones right there. Ozempic, something like Ozempic would become from your primary, and these people are just soldiers fighting in a war that they may not even believe in.
What I think is most interesting, and this is where you come in, right? Like there's very little root cause is what I hear in there. Yeah. Instead of head to toe healing, it's just, let me give you a Band-Aid that actually may not even be a Band-Aid. It may be a razor blade and make things worse, right?
A razor blade, wow.
Is that how you see it?
Well,
that's how I see it.
Well, I summarize it in the book as they only have three solutions. It's drugs, it's injections, and it's surgeries.
Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself, if you're going to your medical doctor, are you okay with those three options? If the answer is no, you might want to go in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Which is me.
Yeah. And I think that some people, right, and this is my opinion, I don't think all medical doctors are bad. I think the system, though, has set it up so that it is corrupt, even when doctors don't want to participate in the corruption. It's not the
doctor's fault.
Right, exactly.
They're indoctrinated into a system. The military is the best analogy. You maybe, let's just say you're 19 years old and you don't know what you want to do with the rest of your life. Maybe you're getting in trouble in the streets or something, and an uncle or something says, go into the military, boy. You go into the military, you do boot camp, you're feeling good about yourself. I did boot camp, I accomplished something. Then you become, let's just say, a Marine, right? Super proud, right? And then out of the clear blue, you get sent to war. You may not believe in the initiative of that war.
Yes.
But you're still required to go.
Yes.
And then on top of it, you might have to kill someone. Is it the soldier's fault? No.
No, because I think the soldiers signed up to help. And I think a lot of doctors sign up because they want to help, but then they get stuck in this system.
A lot of people have the dream of being a healer, 15, 16 years old. And then they become the doctor and realize that they're not trained to heal. They're trained to treat.
And so,
And that's depressing.
absolutely.
And that's why we see so many doctors committing suicide, or they're getting addicted to alcohol or addicted to pills. They get their friend down the hall, their friend doctor, to write them scripts. And so you write me the Xanax and I'll write you the Ambien.
Yeah. So
You write me you write me the antidepressants and I'll write you the anti-anxiety, you know? And it's like they're just, yeah, it's you know, it's a license to kill.
let's talk about some of those chunks that are in the book. I know one of the things you talk about is medical school and diagnosis. Tell us a little bit about how you see the system failing in those areas without giving away your book.
Diagnosing is a scam within itself because, again, the only thing that they have is drugs, injections, and surgeries. So what's the point of the diagnosis? Right?
Say more about that. And this is for some diseases, I'm assuming.
Right. Like, yeah, if you get diagnosed with, let's just say, fibromyalgia, right? They're just going to give you drugs that are going to make you worse over time. So what was the point of the diagnosis? See, human beings, they love acceptance. So if somebody can fast track them to acceptance, they feel better. If you get diagnosed with fibromyalgia, you're going to find acceptance in that because they found it. And you could call it an answer.
Yeah.
And then they're going to hit you with it. It's genetics. That's their excuse for everything.
Or unknown, which is a lot of the time. Like,
so you're going to go, oh, I got it from my grandmother. Yeah. And so you get to a state of acceptance, which in this case will bring you to hopelessness.
Yeah.
Whereas us over here, we reverse those things all the time. Hip pain, foot pain, knee pain, fibromyalgia, migraines, type 2 diabetes, AFib, like gone. And so, you know, what they're saying, it's just not true.
Yeah.
We've proven it, and it's all on video. So the other thing about diagnosing is they've created a system where they overdiagnose. And the reason why is because there's malpractice insurance. So if you're the doctor and I come to you, you have malpractice insurance.
I actually do have malpractice insurance. Yeah.
Right. So it's no different than having car insurance. If I make a claim against you, your insurance is going to go up, even if you win the case.
Yep.
Right?
True. Yep.
So in order for you not to get a claim, you need to over-test. So you over-test the person. And the more you test, the more you find.
Right.
And the body goes through cycles, ebbs and flows. The body goes through cycles of abnormalities. You could have a tumor in you right now. You could have a nodule in you right now. You could have the sea monster right now. But if you don't have symptoms, it's really not as urgent as people would think. Because your body is probably going to reverse it in the next few months. But if they find it, they're going to move from over-testing to over-diagnosing to over-treating.
1,000%. Yeah.
All in the name of not getting nailed with a claim.
I think you're bringing up, like, there's multiple problems here in the system, right? There's, when it comes to diagnosis too, if you accept healthcare, health insurance, you have to offer a diagnosis, right? So there's also that aspect where it's, you're required to provide a diagnosis, even if you don't want to, as a clinician, doctor.
And that leads to the drugs, injections, and surgery.
Exactly, right? So it's this, and then which pharma loves, which people that run medical device companies love, right? Because now everyone, except the doctor who's stuck in the middle, it's almost like they're the pawn for insurance companies to make sure they don't get sued, and because of big pharma. Does that feel like an accurate?
Yeah.
Can I tell you the scariest part? You touch upon this, and I'm so interested to hear you talk about this. But one of the things that I've experienced, and we can get into that later, is that there's really no oversight. There's zero oversight.
Yeah.
Who's supposed to be overseeing all of this?
There's supposed to be boards and whatnot. The FDA is supposed to be involved. The American Medical Association is supposed to be involved.
Yeah.
But they're all in cahoots. They're all making so much money that everyone turns a blind eye.
Talk to me about the FDA, because you mention it in this book, and we're going to get into my experience with the FDA.
Yeah, well, the FDA is supposed to protect us, but they're making money off of applications. So if you were a drug company and you were going to submit your drug, you would fill out an application, which comes with a big check. Just like if you went down to your local town, whatever, to get a zoning permit to build a shed. It's the same concept, except much, much, much bigger.
Yep.
And so that money funds the FDA. So of course they're going to say yes. And so drugs and stuff are getting approved way quicker now. In like 8 months. It used to be like 2 years.
Yeah.
And the FDA is essentially a freedom of speech monster. Like they don't want you to say, they don't want me saying what I say. They don't want people speaking out.
Why?
Because it hurts their business.
Yeah. I know. And this is a federal organization.
It's a federal organization. They have, dyes are legal. Red dye, yellow dye, the junk foods are legal, but they're not legal in other countries like Finland or the Netherlands or even Japan.
Yep.
So it's pretty obvious when foods are legal in America but not in other countries that the FDA is screwing us.
Yeah. And it's not just foods. I have an app that if you scan anything like lotion, food, it'll say what's banned in Europe versus what's banned in the US. It's terrifying, Kevin, how much they're not looking at, right, and allowing through in our products.
Right.
Yeah. Or in our medicine, right? There's that red dye in cancer medicine, a cancer-causing agent in cancer medicine.
Yeah.
Right. So I think you... I think you highlighted one of the main things, which is everyone's in, I'm going to use your words, everyone's in cahoots, right?
Everyone's in cahoots.
One of the other things that you talk about is clinical trials. And I'd love to dive into that a bit.
It's another scheme, because who's sponsoring the trial?
Oh, gosh. Say more. And then we'll get into a great example for you.
Yeah. If the pharmaceutical company is sponsoring the trial, that means they're paying for it. And they're employing a whole bunch of people. It's a little business.
Yeah.
And then the research is very skewed. Very skewed. And it's a very long explanation, but, you could have 200 people in the trial have bad effects from it, but 300 people had okay effects, and they'll pass it. Where the 200 people had effects, and they're just like, oh, the 300 beats the 200.
I think the biggest thing here is there's, again, the oversight, right? Who's supposed to be monitoring those adverse effects, right? The FDA.
The FDA.
And does the FDA actually do that? My experience, and I'm going to share a little bit if that's okay, is that no, they don't, right? And then the other piece of that is what you just said, which is who's funding the study, right? I mean, and this is something important for your
Follow the money.
For your listeners. And in my experience, I have a loved one that just went through a trial that was supposed to cure cancer, right? And have you been part of a trial?
No.
Okay. So the process is you sign something called informed consent, right? Where they tell you all the risks or known risks. He was lied to while signing this waiver, and entered this trial, and he ended up passing away. They said that there was no chance of that, right? They would insure it if he ever passed away. Straight to his face, his doctor said, if you pass away, I won't participate in this trial. I'll shut the trial down. When he passed away, the trial didn't close. They closed for a week, and then they reopened.
Right.
And he's still the primary investigator of the trial. I wanted to know why he died. The FDA won't give me it, saying that he needs to request it and that the company's information is proprietary. So when we enter into the system, we should just know a few things. And your listeners and watchers may be interested in this too. No one actually cares about you, right? Like, it's not about you. It's about money at the end of the day. And people are allowed to lie to you without ramification, because who's gonna penalize these people?
Right.
Right. And when you're in a clinical trial, you sign everything away.
That's right.
But the best part about it is when a study's privately funded, there's no oversight for subjects. So if you enter a privately funded study, no one's overseeing it. Informed consent. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and guess who funded the study?
Who?
A Chinese-based company. So essentially, this company in China is in charge of all of our research subjects.
Right.
It just is fascinating to me.
It's hard to sue or hold accountable someone in another country.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
So I feel like that's just a small example of how our system works. No oversight. It's all about money. We don't even know who's running the show, right?
It's the medical monopoly. That's why I call them that. You know, it's not the doctors and the nurses. It's not.
No.
There's some elite group that are cashing in, and they're using the doctors and nurses and scientists and FDA, and they're all soldiers in the war. They're pawns. You know, there's something greater that's controlling the whole thing.
Who do you think the greater is? Is it all these different systems, or is there something even more nefarious happening, do you think?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's and I don't think it's going to last. I think that's why it's so bad. I think they literally know that it's coming to an end, and it's like, let's get as much money as possible before it ends.
Yeah.
Because the internet opened up everything. You know, and people are waking up at rapid rates.
Yep.
This is not that old. This is the early 1900s.
Yeah.
But before that, there was bloodletting. That was the scam in the 1800s.
Say more about that.
Yeah. So if you were sick, a doctor would come to your house on horseback, and they would cut you open, and they would bleed you, thinking that you just need, you know, the bad stuff to come out. You know.
Yeah.
And that was called bloodletting.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, including medical doctors, became very much against that. Just like today, when people are against pharmaceuticals or certain injections. It's history repeating itself.
Yeah.
It's just a different form. It went from bloodletting to drugs, essentially, and injections. And so it's a money-making opportunity because human beings have already been programmed to trust their doctor. So all you got to do is just keep giving the doctors more ammunition every 20 or so years. And it just keeps going and going and going until people say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this myself. I'll come to you if there's an emergency.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what they're good for.
Yeah.
And I say it in the book, in the beginning of the book, I say it right away. Like, if you have an emergency,
Yeah.
there's no better place than the United States of America.
Yeah.
We have the best emergency rooms in the world.
Yeah.
But if you have a chronic condition, whether it be migraines or fibromyalgia or herniated disc or bunions or joint pain, it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get led down this path that ends in darkness and hopelessness because they are not trained to heal you. They're not.
Yeah.
They're trained to treat you and stabilize you. That's the whole scam. They stabilize you so that you can go home to be on your own.
Yeah.
Like, ow, this still hurts.
No, and with chronic conditions, because I think we talked about this last time, I had a chronic condition, and obviously you deal with it every single day. You're just basically getting moved to a hamster wheel. And that hamster wheel is like shooting out money to everyone else that's put you on the hamster wheel, right?
Right.
Like that's what they're trained to do, whether they want to or not. They're trained to put you on a hamster wheel and then move you through while everyone else is getting paid.
Right.
So what is the solution, right? If we know that this system is broken, I'd love to hear you talk about it from your own practitioner perspective, but also from a systems perspective. How do we fix this? Because it's got to stop. It has to stop.
The way you fix it is by doing head to toe healing. You do head to toe healing. Obviously, I'm biased, but it doesn't mean I'm wrong. Once you learn how to do it, then you stay in that practice of healing. And that puts your body in a state of regeneration all the time. And that's where you want to be. You want to be regenerating all the time to the day you die. The more you do that, the more you unattach from the medical system. So if millions of people were doing that, then the medical system would be losing their power. So the best way to end this is head to toe healing, in my opinion.
Yeah. And using the medical system for like emergencies. Yeah.
Emergencies, absolutely.
Yeah.
I talk about health insurance in there.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that too.
Yeah, I inspire my people to get health sharing programs instead of health insurance.
Say more about those for people that don't know what that is.
There's a lot of health sharing programs where if you're a fairly healthy person, you don't have to pay the high premiums. I pay $200 a month for my health sharing.
Do you know how much I pay?
How much?
Almost $900. Yeah. Yep.
So I pay $200 a month. And what that does is I have no intention of going to the doctor. So that covers me for emergencies.
Yeah.
And so it's a group of people who all pay their $200. And when somebody does have an emergency, everyone, it goes towards them.
Towards them. Yeah.
Right. And you can have one, wellness visit a year if you want and stuff like that. But, I run my own labs. I evaluate my own labs. And that's what we do in our head to toe healing membership. We teach people how to do this. We're teaching them how to unplug from this medical monopoly.
Yeah. I think you also teach people awareness of what they're actually walking into. Like, one thing that I think is important is if you do choose to participate, just know, right, that really no one's looking out for you. Even the most well-intentioned medical professionals, they just don't have the ability to truly watch out for you because they're controlled too,
right,
by health insurance, drug companies, right, private companies investing. So they're really, and the FDA, like we just said, is just another pawn for these companies to get what they want. So no one is actually watching out for you. So that's why you do need to advocate or go elsewhere.
Yeah. But the beauty with head to toe healing is the body's going to regenerate. So the symptoms are going to just start disappearing.
So, Kevin, I have 2 more questions, and maybe more depending on how you answer them. So can we answer the systems question? Like, besides moving away from health insurance and mainstream doctors and using them for what they may be best for, what about the overall other system, right? The companies from China coming in, trying to profit off of people, the big pharma, right? The FDA. How does this get tackled, in your opinion? Big question.
I have no idea. I don't know.
I personally think it's from conversations like this and holding them accountable.
Yeah, I mean, the more you talk about it, the more people become awake to it, and the more they unplug from the system, the less people can be harmed. You know? Human beings are constantly experimenting. I mean, we used to live in asbestos. People used to smoke on airplanes. You know?
True.
And now it's like, oops, my bad. and we're constantly in a state of oops, my bad.
Yeah.
And now it's with the dyes and the junk foods.
Yeah, which we knew. It's just, I feel like people have held a fire under the FDA for so long.
We knew cigarettes were bad too. It's obvious. There's no way that someone in the 1950s didn't know.
Yes.
You'd have to be so dumb. You
It's
would
a carcinogen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To think that smoke going down is.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're just constantly in a state of oops, my bad.
Yeah. I think your company needs an advocate arm. You can head to toe heel and then have everyone hold a match to the FDA and all the people doing things that they shouldn't be doing, right?
Yeah.
Because it is oops, my bad, but it actually isn't. If you read this book, it's not just oops, my bad. It's I want to profit off of you on purpose.
Right.
And I'm going to do it until you catch on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we're like prisoners.
Prisoners. Yeah. And we don't know we're prisoners.
Well, my dad is a great example. Shout out, Dad.
Hi, Kevin's dad.
I talk about him in my books and stuff, but my dad's living a hell on earth type of experience. Dialysis and constantly cramping up and, emphysema. And I mean, it's no way to live. And it's because he listened to his doctors. These people in white coats. They put him on statin drugs in his 40s when it first came out in the late 80s. And, you got to bring your cholesterol down. Well, what did it do? Nothing. He's living a hell on earth. And so, like I talk about in the Red Book, you can make a cool $5 million a year off of someone that's that sickly.
Yeah. To keep them sick on the hamster wheel.
Keep them on the hamster wheel.
Yep.
Keep them in the factory line, right?
Yep.
They lose money when we're healthy.
Yeah.
And so he got scammed.
Yeah.
And he knows it too.
Yeah.
He knows it too.
It's when my family member was dying, he knew it too. And he was trying to communicate, I got scammed. They keep telling me that I'm okay. And I know I'm not, right? I think they do scam people to keep them in where they want us, to keep us prisoners.
Yep.
Because of the money. You said it a couple times, but we just always need to follow the money, because that's really what's fueling our medical system. It's not about healing people and helping people. That's your mission, right?
And I make significantly less money.
But you're not killing people, and you're not going in with the intent of we're going to profit off of someone like your father, right? $5 million a year,
right? $5 million a year. My company does not make $5 million a year. I'm just putting that out there. And this is why they don't like me.
Which was actually the other question that I had for you. There's a section on here, wanted dead or alive. And have people seen the poster? Have you put that online?
Not yet.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was saying he needs to sell these posters and sign them. But you really had backlash for speaking out against the medical monopoly. Tell us about that and what you've experienced.
Well, sometimes there's direct threats. Sometimes there's indirect threats. A direct threat is like opening up the mail, snail mail, and you open it and it says, you're a quack and I'm going to kill you. And then an indirect threat is somebody on social media who says something like, I can't wait till someone puts a bullet to this guy's head. Yeah. This guy is an idiot, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's just an assortment of that type of stuff, you know? And yeah, it just comes with the territory.
Yeah, I mean, I see you as a truth seeker, and I see you as someone who cares about, I mean, even just the way that you said, like, it's not that doctors are bad. You're not saying, like, everything is evil. It's not this huge conspiracy. There's some good players, but the system's bad. And there's some real bad players in the system. And I don't know why you would be a quack. We're calling out something so obvious, right? What do you do? How do you stay level-headed and protected and safe? I know that there's screenshots in the book of people commenting positively and not as positively. How do you stay who you are?
The cheat code.
I knew you were going to say that because I'm a mindfulness trained clinician.
The purple book.
Yeah.
No, I just think that, you know, the mindfulness aspect, doing it for 15, 16, however many years I've been doing it, I'm just able to handle it okay.
Yeah.
And I knew what I signed up for. I think I told you in the last interview when I was going through a tough time and I was deciding if I was going to come back out. Because remember, I took 3 years off.
Yeah.
I was a health practitioner for 8 years.
Yeah.
And then I took 3 years off.
Yeah.
In that time, I decided to come back out, but I had to really look myself in the mirror and say, are you ready to die for this? It was a very significant question I had to ask myself. And the answer was yes. Because I knew that I was going to rattle the cages.
Can I be honest? When you said that, I think I was like, oh gosh, that's a little extreme. But now we were talking off before we started, like engaging with the FDA and like trying to fight them, trying to fight someone like Dana-Farber to get information, you realize that that's actually not an exaggeration. Like, these people are making so much money. They will do anything to silence you. Yeah. And I would have not said that a year ago. Does that make sense? So I really empathize with you in the sense of this is like constant for you because you're saying, no, this is wrong. Like, we are in the middle of a medical monopoly and there is another way. Like, come find out about this way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you understand now.
Yeah.
Not everyone understands.
And I think until you're in it, you don't understand how much they don't care. They do not care. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even I'm currently in a relationship with a beautiful young woman. And, you know, before it got serious, I kept saying, are you sure? And I don't think she even still gets it. But, you know, it's like there's a lot of baggage that comes along with me. You know? And I'll be like, well, you want to go here? Cool. I think I'm going to need the security for that. Security for what? You know, that's what people, security for what? No, you don't understand. You know, this isn't normal work.
Yeah.
It's not normal at all. There's nothing normal about this.
Does everyone know you have a girlfriend? Is that public knowledge?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, well, now everyone knows.
I guess. We're just talking.
What does she think about this? Who is she? Kevin. Do you want to tell us a little bit about her? I'm curious.
Well, she's my special girl.
Oh.
We'll just leave it there at that.
Okay.
But no, I think, she, I think she appreciates what I do, and but it takes a long time to really understand it. You just said it took you a year to understand what I said a year ago,
It took me being in it.
Yes.
Yeah. It took me being in it.
And so it's just one of those things where unless you're fielding the comments and the DMs, it's like hidden. It's hidden.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't happen to me when I go to the grocery store. If anything, I meet someone who's a fan. Because people that are haters don't usually say anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get stared at a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to wonder if they recognize me or it's just my hair. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But, I do get recognized every now and again when I'm out and about, but it's usually love.
Yeah.
Thank you for your work. I have to give someone a hug, and
Yeah.
it's that whole thing, which is it's nice.
Yeah.
But if the medical monopoly wants someone like me gone,
Mm-hmm.
All they have to do is hire.
Someone to make you gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
Yeah.
It's very simple. And so in the book, I talk about, how they do it, and how they make it. They always usually make it look like unaliving, like I did it myself. Or they'll hit you with sexual assault, set you up in that way, find a girl from your past, or find a partner from your past, give them $1 million to say something crazy,
Yeah.
because if they can't get you physically, they go after your reputation.
Yeah. It's a silencing. Yeah. It's a silencing.
But I'm not, I have at the time of this recording, I have about 500,000 followers over all platforms. It's not a lot. I mean, it's a lot, but it's not a lot. So, what's life going to be when I have 5 million followers?
Yeah.
That's when things get very, very complicated.
Yeah.
And that's when, I'm probably getting better security details and such like that. So.
Last question, I promise. What's next for you? I know you have 5 books, and if you haven't read Medical Monopoly, definitely make sure you do read it. And I haven't read those other books, but I'm going to. So I'll check those out. What's next for you in the next year before we sit down again?
Growing the membership, creating this beautiful community that we have. It's very lovely. It's a movement. But also my children's project, Sunlight, Sunny, and Friends. We do have a pilot. So I'm just figuring out what to do with it. I don't know if I need an investor, I need a loan, or I can just raise the money. I have no idea. But this stuff costs, you need capital.
Sure, yeah.
And so I really want to tackle that. First of all, it's a lot safer than what I'm doing now. But I think, it's a great project to give parents and grandparents a tool to help their kids just stay away from junk food. We don't have to go into the science of everything and the FDA. Just stay off the junk food, So I really would like to accomplish that this year. Yeah.
Dr. Kevin Reese, thanks so much for talking. And if people do want to find your book, Medical Monopoly, The Evil Empire You've Been Tricked to Trust, or any of your other books.
The red book, we call it.
The red book.
Show them the red book.
Where is the camera?
There you go.
Where can they find these for people that don't know? or don't follow you if they're listening.
drkevinreese.com.
drkevinreese.com.
Yeah, and all our testimonies are on there now. We took a whole month to turn these testimonials into, blog format.
Mm-hmm.
It was a huge project, and we have so many, it's ridiculous. Easily the most on video that anyone's ever seen, and again, that's what makes me a target.
Yeah.
So, but it's all on video, and so it's all there. Yeah.
Definitely check out his site. Make sure you get this book, and we'll talk again in a year.
Sure, let's do it.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.